Alrighty, friends, we are back. Your favorite podcast of the week, of the maybe of the year. I don't know, but it's Location Weekly. It's episode number 600. Yes, another milestone has been met, and we're recording on December the 20th. It's almost Christmas. How are you, Brianna?
I am good, feeling in the holiday spirit, and I had a few days with my mom in town and got to do some, last minute holiday shopping, got to see a Broadway show, do some fun stuff in the city. And so I feel good. I'm like in the spirit of things now. I do have to go back to work for a few days, but that's okay. I'm feeling good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm kind of getting into the holiday spirit. I put up the tree and did all that, and still have a little bit of shopping to do. The weekend was fun because I actually watched that World Cup final. That was insane. That was crazy. Like, that was sports entertainment at its best, I think. I don't know if did you see it?
I did not watch, but I saw all the excitement around it, and that made me happy.
It was just
Yeah, I'm sad
crazy.
to say I just did not you know, I had different
Just
priorities.
like the whole back and forth of it, and like just how
Yeah.
it all played out was like couldn't be scripted any better, I don't think. But anyways,
Yeah.
so I'm just couple more days of work here, and then kind of relax a little bit, and then I'll be working next week in between Christmas and New Year, but whatever, it's all good. So yeah.
It is. It is.
All right. So, well, we have four stories as per usual to cover this week. Bunch of interesting things, and I'll let Brianna start us off.
All right. Well, there's a new feature on the Walmart app for those who are using Walmart or just interested in, retail trends and shopping via mobile. Now, customers are able to fulfill their orders via text. So this is their text to shop service. It launched on the 14th. And, now shoppers can choose products from their local stores via the website or the Walmart app. And then they can actually text reorder. So I'm pretty sure this is limited to items that you perhaps have already ordered in the past. But when you've finished shopping, you can review your cart through checkout and or through text. So you have like text or the app option, and you can also select your pickup time. And so I think this is really interesting. Some stats around like Walmart specific orders is that 25% of shoppers used buy online and pick up in store on Black Friday this year. But that's not to say that this is solely a trend that's happening or that we're seeing around the holidays, because over the summer they saw as many as 12% of US shoppers using the in-store option and 11% using the curbside pickup option. So this is I guess like outpacing the numbers that we're seeing in other countries. And I think, there's probably good reasons for that, just in terms of like how Walmart functions, and the feasibility of getting in and out of the store with a vehicle in the US is probably a little bit more accessible than in some other countries. But, I think that they attempted to launch this years ago with their text-based feature with Jet Black, which was like that concierge service, and you had to pay for that $600 a year to get that, that feature in essence. But it just didn't take off. And so they shut it down a couple years later and just couldn't make it profitable. So now they're trying this. I think they learned some things from that, is what they're stating. And hopefully this is something that will take off. What I see about this that I really like is that I think this will be really valuable to frequent shoppers. I think of how with text, especially with the ability to do talk to text these days, and having that flexibility, like you can kind of multitask and be, where you say to your, assistant, your virtual assistant on your phone, hey, can you add, text this to this number? Like, oh, I need to get some more milk or eggs or whatever it may be. So I can see how there's a lot of convenience to this, and I like it. I think it's like a first step in the right direction. And I always think of ways that, oh, it'd be great to just like virtually be able to spit off my order or call someone and be like, oh, I need this, and have that conversation, rather than having to spend the time and scroll through the app and add everything. Although you can reorder with a lot of those shopping apps, whether it's grocery. I think that's beyond Walmart, right? But the text option, I think, is a very nice and handy feature. And it reminds me a little bit of when you use like Instacart. A lot of times you can text with that person while they're in the store. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's like, I can't respond at this moment. So it can be a little bit problematic, but I do like this. And I think that it's a nice feature that a lot of frequent Walmart shoppers will definitely start to use as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's nice, simple, easy. People, there's nothing that like there's no learning curve, right? We text every day all the time, right? So I think just the ease of use of it makes a ton of sense for me. I like that you can have sort of set orders and just simply text reorder, and it knows what that is. As you were talking about Instacart and other things, I was thinking about, if you remember few years ago, Amazon had their dash buttons, their IoT buttons, where you could have like a Tide one or a Gillette one or whatever, and have it by the washing machine kind of thing. And when you're running out of Tide, you just hit the button and it automatically like places an order because it's connected to your Amazon account and things like that. So I think like these sort of simple, easy ordering mechanisms in sort of the technologies that we use every day, like texting, make a ton of sense. So I like it. And unlike the Jet Black version where you had to pay $600 a year, this is free.
Free is always good.
All right. Well, speaking of Amazon, our second story now, they've launched a new feature in their app called Inspired. And so this is a curated feed of videos and products that are served into the app for you. So they're testing this out in December with a select number of US customers, and then they'll launch it more widely very early in the new year. But essentially, when you're in the app, you'll see like a sort of a little light bulb icon, and then you can click on that, and then you can select your interests from a list of 20 that include makeup or pets or gaming or different categories. And then based on your preferences that you've selected from that, then the app will then create a feed of photos and videos. So think, the way Instagram feeds work or those kinds of things, based on what it knows of your interests and things that you've liked and so on. But what's cool about this and what Inspire is all about is it's not just here's a feed of interesting products and videos. All of the content that they're showing you is directly shoppable on Amazon. So you can select items from the videos or from the photos that are coming into this feed and purchase them directly through the Amazon app, obviously with your Amazon account. So I think it's really smart. I think it's interesting that they're doing this. In the article, they made a comparison to what TikTok is doing right now in the US. They have a separate tab within TikTok app, and they've been testing since November a shopping sort of platform, based on items in the feed that are there as well. But I think for me, this makes way more sense with Amazon, when they can just deliver you rich content, experiences based on interests that you've predefined. And then obviously, it's a marketplace that you're used to buying from. So I like it. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is like pure genius. This is definitely what Amazon should be doing. They have a lot of your preferences and buying behavior data right there. They don't need to go and outsource that. And I think that, there's science behind how anything scrolling is quite addictive. And I think that they did a big service for themselves and like I would assume their basket sizes and purchase prices, because it used to be that when you would scroll through an Amazon feed, you would have to go to like page 1, page 2. And now on the mobile app, you can just scroll indefinitely. There's no like needing to wait to go to the next page. And I think that was a great, UI UX update that they made. And now the ability to be able to kind of see and shop this content in a curated way where you can go in and personalize it is like, I'm excited about it. And I haven't really been excited about their UI and UX ever. So I think this is a great move. They've been doing and testing a lot of this as well with like the influencers that you can kind of shop, but I've never found it to be super simple. And inevitably, I always want something in the picture that they don't have like tagged. I'm like, oh, that's the thing I was looking at and it's not part of this. So I think that this is a great, upgrade. So I'm excited to try it when it's available more widely. But yes, Very smart.
You mean you're not one of the influencers in the select group, Brianna?
I guess not, you know. You would think that the amount of money I spend on that place would put me in you know, prime beta testers, but who knows. All right, well, let's go to something like a little bit more software and location based here with a company called PocketStop, which is a communications software solutions company. And their goal is to really empower companies to create personalized automated messages. They have a product called Red Flag, and they have announced now that they're planning to release some new functionality, which allows their users to send more relevant messages at the right time, based on location targeted alerts. So these updates are things like hyper targeted messages based on that real-time location, visual and customizable geofencing, and then being able to hyper target via real-time GPS location and send relevant timely messages with just a few clicks. So, you know, this is like more vertical solutions alignment around government, you know, as well as like probably communications. Think of anything that has, you know, a lot of like dispatch or something that even is customer facing. They tout that Kroger is a client of theirs. So I think that they're thinking about some of the things around like safety or transportation or anything that would really require some timely alerts. I was thinking that even I think Via is a client, so anything like rail or transportation related would probably be a great, you know, application of this type of software. So to me, I think that this is not necessarily unique to PocketStop or this Red Flag product. We've been talking about this. There's a lot of different technologies that are behind these types of things when it comes to moving pieces around, moving people around, moving cars around that we are discussing and talking about and highlighting every week. And I think this is just really another one of those applications that we're, you know, discussing. So nothing really groundbreaking here. It's a company that I know we haven't talked about. If we have talked about it, it hasn't been in a while. So it's good to talk about a new player in the space, or at least one that's making a, you know, a newer announcement here. But yeah, I mean, this is something that we've seen, what do we say, Blue Dot doing for a long time, lots of other companies that do this in different ways. So here's another one that can be entertained. I don't know. Am I missing anything?
Yeah. No, I don't have a lot to add to this. I mean, I think it's, you know, they're, you know, adding features to, you know, enrich the product offering within their current customer base, right? And as you said, they're serving the, you know, the fleets and the vehicle markets and, you know, sort of the workforce use cases around this. And I always think these are good use cases for location-based alerts and messaging and those kinds of things. So, you know, again, we're not talking about any new groundbreaking technology here, but the application of the technology and how they're using it, I think makes a ton of sense. And obviously they have a built-in customer base that can benefit from that. And as we've seen with others in a similar type of space, but yeah, so I like it. I think it makes sense. And yeah, wish them good luck in you know, continuing to solidify and grow the base based on that. So all right, our final story now. So we're going to jump over across the pond to the Netherlands. And this is kind of an interesting story for me. So there's a supermarket chain in Holland called Jumbo, just Jumbo. And one of the big problems that, you know, the leadership of Jumbo has, you know, been trying to address is that, you know, older people, especially, you know, at this time of year, but in general, you know, tend to be, you know, lonely. And, you know, if they, you know, they suffer from depression and other things, you know, related to, you know, in many cases, just being on their own, or their spouse has passed away, or, you know, whatever the case might be. So this grocery store has decided to create a new way to engage folks that are lonely and just, you know, perhaps want to mingle and chat. And so they've created something called a Kleedskasse, or in English, that means chat checkout. And so think of a grocery store now, and they have over 700 locations in the chain. And for customers who are not in a rush, and they'd like to have a conversation with the cashier, there's a separate lane, like a slow lane, basically. In an era when we talk about efficiency and, getting things quickly, this is kind of going the other way. So it's basically a slow lane in the grocery store, where you can go there and you can take your time and you can, strike up a conversation with the cashier and, and get a little bit of, alleviating of that, that feeling of loneliness. So in the Netherlands, there's 1.3 million people over the age of 75. And this is a chain that's nationally across the country, and so they've been testing these slow lanes out. The national government, the Dutch government, has a campaign called One Against Loneliness, and so this is sort of one of the things that they tested out to address that, and they're having a lot of success with it. So they're building 200 of these Kleedkassa's across the country. And they've even also set up, separate from the slow lanes, small areas in the corner of a store called chat corners, where you can go and sit down and congregate and have a cup of coffee and connect with folks as well. So I just think this is like a super feel good story. And again, especially at this time of year, I don't know about you, Abrianna, but I always hear of, older folks that, I've been connected to over the years, who, somebody's, a sibling or a spouse or somebody's passed away, and they're feeling that, right? Especially at Christmas or, holidays when, there's usually so much joy in, getting together with family. And for a lot of people, they don't have that, and that's missing. And so I love that a retailer is, doing something like this, to create an opportunity for folks to actually be able to have a chat and converse and feel better about what's going on. What are your thoughts?
I just love this. I do. This is it's such a good reminder that in this world where convenience is, taking lead, and we're always trying to get things faster and complete, tasks as quick as possible, that it's never too, you're never too busy to stop and connect with somebody. And I always remember, my parents trying to remind me that people are always going through something that you know nothing about. And whether that's somebody who's elderly and, missing family this time of year, or, otherwise, I think it's just important to create those connections. So it's amazing to see Jumbo doing this, and I'm just really excited. I wish we would do more of this. This is a very non-American thing, but if we could get some of that here, I would love that. Yeah, very good story.
Yeah, it's awesome. So so that's it. That's our show for this week. You've been listening and watching episode number 600 of Location Weekly. As I said, we're recording this on December the 20th. We will not have a show next week. We're going to take a little bit of a Christmas holiday break, and then we'll return and record on the 31st, our annual prediction show. So you can look forward to that. That will be the next episode following this one, kind of our thoughts and predictions for 2023. So yes, just around the corner. So thank you, everybody. If you have story ideas, reach out to us. If you have feedback, let us know. And have a fantastic holiday season. And we'll see you all in the new year. Bye.
Happy holidays. Bye.